If you're a ballet dancer, you've probably been told this one thing that's making your life super difficult. Come with me. If your weight is over your ball of your foot all the time, it's probably restricting your turnout and making life really difficult. Let's go on a journey and figure out how to make it better. I talked about this the other day in my video about hyperextension, how putting the weight too far over the metatarsals, like this, is actually going to cause problems because it's going to put too much weight on a super mobile part of the foot. Did you know one of the most common injuries in young dancers is stress fractures to the second metatarsal? So why are we putting all of that weight over the part of the foot that is the weakest? Truth is, sports science figured this out ages ago, but ballet just hasn't caught up yet. In sports and fitness, we talk about something called the tripod of the foot. So we want to spread our weight evenly between the big toe, the little toe, and the heel. So it creates a triangle between those 3 points, or a tripod. You might be asking, what about when we rise up? Well, the tripod just shifts. Instead of it being on the big toe, the little toe, and the heel, now that tripod moves to the big toe, second toe, third toe, and the ball of the foot. Understanding how to utilize this connection in the floor will not only improve your balance, it will improve your stability in your feet and will also improve your turnout. So if we know that turnout comes from the top of the hips and we want to externally rotate our legs, you need to start in a parallel position and learn how to engage the muscles that externally rotate the femur, which connects to the hip socket. Watch what happens with my feet as I externally rotate my legs. Even if I have a natural pronation, if I start to externally rotate my legs, it's going to pull my foot neutral and it's going to connect naturally the big toe, little toe, and heel into the floor. So oftentimes with young dancers, especially female young dancers, we get what's called anterior pelvic tilt, which means that the iliac crest at the front of the pelvis is tilting forward, which causes an arch in the low back, it causes pain there, and then it means that the glutes are not doing their job to help to support the pelvis, to support the spine, and to also help our rotators to maintain their position. What often happens then is that because it creates this backwards movement of the pelvis, dancers will sit towards the outside of their foot or back onto their heel as they do their tendus or as they do their work. The main reason this backwards movement of the hips is happening is because of that tilt of the pelvis. And so if we pull the pelvis neutral and then we have a straight line from our shoulders down to our hips, down to our feet, that's going to create a much better allowance for our external rotators to do their job to turn out our femur. Problem is, the correction that often gets made to correct this tilt is to pull the shoulders more forward. And then we get this rounded forward alignment of the upper body, which isn't actually fixing anything and is causing the dancer to fall forward. In creating this postural alignment, it means that your shoulders are right on top of your hips. It means that your hips are right on top of your knees are right on top of your feet, and you're going to be straight up and down. So when you go to take a balance, for example, you're not here, you're not over this way, falling forward, you're not sitting back like this, you're straight, one line from shoulder to hip to knee, down to the line of your foot. And then, as a nice cherry on top of that positioning, you can have a little bit of thoracic extension or contraction to accentuate the line of whatever your leg is doing. Oftentimes, dancers become so scared of doing the wrong alignment because of teachers yelling at them that they don't even want to move, and so head alignment becomes stuck, upper body becomes stuck. They don't allow their thoracic spine to mobilize. They don't work through their arm positions, and everything looks very stiff. And that's when they start to get artistry corrections, when in reality, all that needed to happen was a fix of their basic posture. So here's how I approach it. We know that weight should be evenly spread between the big toe, the little toe, and the heel. And so you want to find that position first. Then you're rotating the leg and engaging all of the muscles that need to work to support the ankle, the knee, and the hip in that external rotation. We're not allowing for the foot to roll in, and we're not putting too much weight over the ball of the foot, because as soon as you do, even if you try to pull up as much as you can out of your hip, at some point that leg is going to try to neutralize because the adductors are going to overengage and they're going to pull you into a turned in position. So the correction is to have weight straight down from the top of that pelvis all the way down to the midline of the foot right here. So if I drew a straight line up to this point, that's where we want to be. Not back here and definitely not over here. But Shane, what about rising up? What about getting onto releve? How do I get up to releve if I don't have weight over the ball of my foot? Your balance needs to be dynamic, which means that once you start in that position on flat, you need to be able to shift over and up. It doesn't mean that you stay there all the time, because that's going to just shift you away. If you are able to go here, you're going to move your entire body over to that line and up so that your shoulders are still right directly on top of the new tripod, which is running through the ball of the foot, the big toe, second toe, third toe. Imagine the confusion, guys, of the dancers who are jumping and they're being told to always get their heels on the ground, but then in the same sentence, they're being told to always have weight over the ball of their feet. Which one is it? Do we want heels on the ground or do we want weight on the ball of the foot? We can make this very simple by saying that weight and energy should spread through the entire foot equally so that when we jump, we can feel the heels on the floor to help us push. We're not putting stress on our shins. And then when we do our tendus, we're not going towards that foot. We're just keeping our weight right through that center line so that you are able to very quickly transfer weight if you need to any different position that you have to. I know this is controversial, guys. I know I'm going to get critiques, but that's okay, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to challenge the traditional way of saying things that are making things very confusing for the students who are trying to learn it, and they're not understanding where to put their weight, how to adjust, how to be dynamic in their movement, because they're always trying to put weight over the ball of their foot or adjust for that pelvic tilt. The secret is that we have to find the perfect up and down alignment of the body, and then work on the rotation, the stability of the rotation in the standing leg, and then take that through all of our movement. And at the very end, once that stability has been developed, then we can add on artistry on top. So this definitely isn't the last time that I'll talk about this. I'm sure that I'll do future videos on this, but I want you to drop down into the comments, guys, and ask me questions about this, because it's going to help me to inform future content so that I can give you the best information possible to help you with your ballet technique. Do you struggle when you put weight over the ball of your feet, or do you find it easier? Let me know. Everyone is going to be unique, and some of these corrections are going to apply to you and some of them won't. So definitely let me know. Hit subscribe if you found this helpful. If you didn't find it helpful, let me know why, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.